We have some bad news for Melania Trump, the First Lady. I just got confirmation that her upcoming documentary, Melania, has been pulled from all theaters across South Africa due to the current climate in the United States of America. And at the same time, ticket sales for the documentary are not doing well across the United States, but also across the world. Movie theaters across America right now have empty seats for the upcoming premiere of the documentary, which is scheduled to come out this week. And now, based on what I understand and based on what sources familiar with the situation, the documentary has been pulled from theaters in South Africa. Now, it's not banned in South Africa. People can still watch it in other ways, but the main distributor of the film in South Africa will not air it in theaters after backlash to what's happening in the United States of America, specifically over the president's recent immigration enforcement activities in Minneapolis and elsewhere. So this is something that the president will not be happy about, but well, this is the result of what's happening in the United States, so spread the word.
Okay, hold up. South Africa said no? Like, an entire country looked at this documentary and said, yeah, we're good. And not because of the film itself, but because of what's happening with ICE raids and immigration crackdowns. This is what MAGA bros don't understand. When you cheer for mass deportations and wave around your little flags, the world is watching, and they're taking notes. You wanted America to be respected again? Well, congratulations. You're so respected that international distributors are pulling the First Lady's movie because they don't want the smoke. That's not cancel culture. That's consequence culture. Big difference. And the funniest part? These are the same people who scream, "Who cares what other countries think?" until other countries think something that hurts their feelings. Then suddenly, it's a global conspiracy against them.
And as always, follow along, stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about.
I just got back from seeing the Melania documentary a second time, and it's amazing all the stuff you catch on repeat viewing, especially once you know the dinosaur twist. Because the first time you watch it, you're wondering, why is she walking around with that big net the whole time? But then when you know the dinosaur twist, it all makes sense. And I had the same thought with all the interviews. Like, yeah, it makes sense to interview her staff and the White House staff and her family, but why were they interviewing all these paleontologists? Now it makes sense. Because when I watched it the first time, I didn't notice any of the claw marks on the walls. But when I watched it the second time, I was like, how did I miss them? Even little things, like the water glass next to Melania while they're interviewing her. Do you ever notice it kept rippling from time to time and she'd look over to it terrified? Now that all makes sense. And look, they set up a sequel. I thought that was done in a pretty ham-fisted way. But I do wonder what happened to the one that got away. I want to know. I'm planning to see it a third time today. And I don't know if I'll give it 2 thumbs up, but maybe I'll give it 2 T-Rex arms up.
Yo, this man really said dinosaur twist. And you know what? That joke is funnier than anything MAGA's produced in 8 years. Because let's be honest, the only twist in this documentary is finding out it exists. But here's what kills me. Where are all the conservative comedians? The ones who swear the left can't take a joke? Because right now, the joke is a $40 million movie that can't fill a Tuesday matinee. And instead of laughing at themselves, they're gonna spend the next month blaming woke Hollywood. Bro, Hollywood didn't make you not buy tickets. Hollywood didn't force your base to stay home watching reruns of Yellowstone instead. At some point, you gotta look in the mirror and admit maybe the product just wasn't it.
We have some major breaking news for Melania's new documentary. She has 2 theaters that are completely sold out. So that is a really good news. Who am I kidding? That's terrible news. This is a $40 million budget movie. Now, obviously, there could be some reason that everyone is waiting to buy their tickets until the day of. Obviously, the movie doesn't come out until tomorrow. But 1,400 screens is a big run. I mean, that's about how many we had for Ezra, for our film Ezra, that was in theaters in 2024. Yeah, we were in 1,320 screens. We had a lot more sold out theaters. I mean, I looked and there were quite a few sold out theaters. I mean, there was at least one sold out screening in most cities. With that said, Melania has a budget of like $40 million. So if they make what we made, it would not be good. And it's looking like they're not even going to make what we made. Obviously, we were a significantly cheaper film to make, so you know that you can make the money back on that. But when it's a $40 million, they just lost a ton of money.
Wait, 2 theaters sold out of 1,400 screens? Do the math real quick. That's like 0.14%. That's not a premiere. That's a rounding error. And I love how MAGA bros will look at this and go, well, the mainstream media is lying about the numbers. No, homie, your own ticket sales are lying about the numbers. The receipts are lying about the numbers. You spent years saying, get woke, go broke, and now your First Lady's movie is about to become the biggest flop since the last venture that wasn't propped up by your donations. This is what happens when your entire brand is built on opposition. You're great at being against things, But when it comes time to actually support something, to show up, to put money where your mouth is, suddenly everyone's got plans.
What are you guys doing to Matrampana's wife? South Africans, you guys are special. So, Melania Trump is the wife of Donald Trump, and she has a documentary coming out, but they're pulling it out of South African screens because there was zero pre-ticket sales. In Australia, there was just one measly ticket that was bought, but no one has been interested in understanding or hearing this documentary. But what I found most interesting about this is that they've spent 57 million on this documentary, and their choice of a director is Brett Ratner, who is in the Epstein files and has been accused of sexual assault by many, many women. And we all know, if you in the Epstein files, you can just imagine the horrific things they did to children and women. So Champana, that is why engafuna ukukhipha lama Epstein files, because everyone around him seems to be in the Epstein files, including himself, allegedly. But Melania, we're not interested, Nana. You can stay with the documentary. We don't care. And there's this teaser that they dropped, where Melania ufonela ubhebi wakho Matrampana. Kring kring, ati baby Matrampana. Matrampana ati meli. Ati what's happening? Trump yambuza, did you see? Usho ukuthi winile something. Ati meli, no, bengayibukeli azindaba. But that's how umyeni wakhe won the presidency. Naye akanandaba naye makamkhuze umuntu wakhe. Kumele kwi-pillow talk they must talk about sensible things. And I'm telling you, baby, imakancane. And why am deported? Why isn't she deported? Because she's not American either.
$57 million. And they hired Brett Ratner, like, of all the directors in Hollywood, you pick the guy whose name shows up in every conversation about industry predators, and MAGA bros will defend this with, well, he was never convicted. Bro, that's not the flex you think it is. But here's what's really wild. These are the same people who claim Hollywood is a cesspool of degenerates, that it's run by predators, that there's a secret cabal controlling everything, and then they literally hire someone from the Epstein files to direct their First Lady's documentary. You can't make this up. You can't. It's like complaining about the swamp while actively installing more alligators.
For Felon 47's reaction. You already know he's going to wake up, see the headlines, and start rage posting like his phone owes him money. Caps lock. Exclamation points. Rigged box office. The cinemas are corrupt. He's about to blame AMC, the Academy, the Deep State, Rotten Tomatoes, and probably Taylor Swift for good measure. Because in his world, nothing ever flops. It's never the audience just didn't care. It's sabotage. It's a conspiracy against the cinema. He's gonna say it's the most beautiful documentary ever made. He's gonna claim millions tried to see it. He's gonna hint that the ticket machines were turned off. He's gonna fabricate another lie. The demand was so high, it crashed the Fandango app. Meanwhile, the popcorn is still warm because nobody touched it. But if Michelle Obama dropped a movie tomorrow, it would be sold out everywhere. Lines around the block. Extra shows added. People calling in sick to work. That's what real culture pull looks like. But the real question begs to be answered. Where was his maggot base? Where was the We Love Melania people? Where are the flags, the caravans, the bulk ticket buys, the performative loyalty? Because if this woman was really beloved, the theaters would have been packed with red hats and folding chairs. They show up for rallies in cornfields. They camp out for merch. But for her movie? Crickets. Not a single patriotic popcorn in sight. They don't love Melania. They perform love for Melania when it's useful. They pretend devotion online. They vanish when it requires effort or money. It's all vibes, no action. All caps, no receipts. So yeah, they're all liars. The loudest fans are also the flakiest. Turns out Ride or Die stops at the box office. So in the meantime, tantrum loading, Truth Social meltdown imminent, blame buffet fully stocked. I can't wait. And that's the read. This is the notorious JTB, notoriously opinionated, signing out.
Where was the MAGA base? That's the question, isn't it? Because we've seen these people show up. They'll drive across 3 states to stand in a cornfield. They'll camp overnight for a rally. They'll spend their rent money on red hats and gold sneakers. But ask them to buy a $15 movie ticket for Melania. Nah. Too much. And this is what I've been saying for years. MAGA loyalty is performative. It's not about actually supporting anyone. It's about being seen supporting. It's about the post, the profile pic, the bumper sticker. Real support costs something. Real support means showing up even when there's no camera, no crowd, no dopamine hit from owning the libs. And when it came time to prove that Melania actually matters to them, they chose their couches. They chose Netflix. They chose literally anything else. All caps, no receipts. That's the whole movement in 3 words.
Y'all were just leaving the theater. Melania was so good. Just kidding, we didn't watch that shit, but there was hella people. We came to the Marquee in Houston. There was so many people here to watch Melania. It was crazy. And you know the ones that were here to watch Melania, because they had a full beat. They were wearing heels, extensions, bitch, side part, money piece, all of that. They're here to watch Melania too. It was hella people, and it was hella people from Katy. It was giving Katy. It was giving Humble, Texas. Y'all don't
Full
watch that
beat,
fucking
heels,
movie,
extensions,
please.
money piece. These women clocked the Melania audience in 3 seconds, and they're not wrong. But here's what's hilarious. MAGA will see this clip and get mad. They'll say it's mocking real Americans or whatever. Bro, your people didn't show up. Don't be mad at the women pointing it out. Be mad at your base for being all talk. And by the way, if your entire political movement can be identified by a side part and a specific type of heel, maybe the silent majority isn't as diverse as you claim. Just a thought.
Nikki is not done yet. She recently popped up at the world premiere of Melania at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. This is coming less than 24 hours after she took to her X account to show off her new TRUMP gold card, following her getting on stage saying how she's the #1 fan of the current prez and how she's like his biggest fan. At this point, I'm not even shocked by what Nikki is doing. I will say I find it interesting that she is going to support this Melania movie, especially considering the fact she previously whacked Melania, calling her a brainless bitch. I think she was on stage at a title performance. He done went from bashing Melania to big at her movie event support of her. He already said there is no amount of backlash and no amount of hate she can get to make her stop supporting who she wants to support. She is loyal to the soil and ain't nothing gonna change about that. Photographer who snapped this photo of Nikki said he has been taking photos of her for the past 16 years, and he said that we are excited to welcome you as a permanent citizen of the United States, and she just chuckled and kept it moving. I'm curious to know what y'all think regarding this. Like I said, Nikki is standing 10 toes down for her support of the TRUMPs. Drop them thoughts down below. Peace.
So, Nikki went from calling Melania a brainless bitch to showing up at her premiere? Look, that's her business. But what kills me is how MAGA bros are going to use this as some kind of victory. See, even black celebrities support us now. Bro, one person changing their tune for attention doesn't validate your entire movement. You know what would validate it? Ticket sales. And let's be real. If Nikki's endorsement actually mattered to the MAGA base, those theaters would be full right now. But they're not, because at the end of the day, they don't actually care about celebrity endorsements. They just want to point at them when it's convenient. It's trophy collecting, not coalition building. There's a difference.
The Melania documentary is already a box office flop. It turns out that nobody wants to see a dictator's wife's $75 million home movie. At the London premiere, only 1 ticket was even sold, and part of me thinks that was a mistake. I bet somebody was just drunk on their phone and they clicked the wrong movie in the drop-down menu. 2/3 of the crew who worked on the movie asked to be uncredited, kind of like the people who cash their $50,000 bonus check from ICE and then cover their fugly faces while they cause terror in American streets. And yes, I know that the movie industry is very difficult right now, and joining ICE is not the same as working on the Melania movie, but it's a little bit the same. The crew also said they worked long hours, which were deeply chaotic, and they were also often denied lunch breaks. The fact that this movie was funded by Amazon and they are treating the crew members exactly like they're Amazon workers is no surprise. The crew pretty much blames director Brett Ratner for their hard working conditions, but it is funny that they told Rolling Stone that even though Ratner was slimy, Melania Trump, while boring, was totally nice. Of course she was totally nice. This woman made $30 million for this home movie. This is in The Guardian about how it's apparently totally legal for Melania to get paid $30 million for a documentary, and it's because she isn't part of the government. She's just a private citizen who happens to be married to the president. So yeah, of course she was nice on set. She was getting paid. So that's what Jeff Bezos is doing with your money that you spend on Amazon. He's giving it to Melania Trump. I mean, he's also getting lots of plastic surgery with his wife, something that they should definitely both stop doing. The movie was directed by Hollywood super creep Brett Ratner. Now, I don't know if they chose Brett because of his sexual assault allegations or because he's on the Epstein list, but I have a feeling it was both. This is what happens when fascists try to make art in a late-stage capitalistic society where everyone is struggling to pay their bills. Because even if you already believe the propaganda, you can't even afford to spend the money to go see it in the theater. And because MAGA are both so anti-immigrant and anti-woman, there's no way they're going to spend money to see their dictator's immigrant wife's soulless, elongated selfie of a movie with the appeal of a dead jellyfish on the beach. And if Melania is sad about the fact that no one came to see her movie, I think it's really important that we tell her, I don't really care. Do you?
Wait, she got paid $30 million for this, and it's legal because she's just a private citizen who happens to be married to the president? So let me get this straight. MAGA spent years screaming about corruption, about politicians selling access, about shady deals. And now their first lady is collecting $30 million from Jeff Bezos for a documentary that nobody wants to watch. And that's fine. This is what I mean about selective outrage. If Michelle Obama had taken $30 million from a tech billionaire for a movie, Fox News would run it for 6 months straight. But Melania does it. She's a businesswoman. She deserves it. The cognitive dissonance is Olympic level at this point.
Guess what I'm here to see? I watched the Melania movie, so you don't have to. And I'm not even trying to get my citizenship.
This is why fascists don't make art. That was so bad. That was the biggest fascism propaganda puff piece I've ever seen. And people liked it. They clapped at the end of the movie. White people shit. I'm better than you. Look at all the money. Look at all the gold. The whole movie was about her picking out a dress for an inauguration. That happened a year ago. They waited a year to put out a documentary until it's time enough to distract people, and they put it out, and it's the biggest piece of shit. That's why nobody liked Hitler's paintings.
There's a Melania documentary out in theaters right now, directed by human piece of shit Brett Ratner. And this movie cost $40 million to make, which is astronomical for a documentary. A lot of documentaries cost maybe $1-2 million. And surprisingly, this has made $3 million back at the box office, but not all of that money may be genuine. On the Boston Craigslist, there was this ad that said a 10 Melania documentary, free tickets plus $50. And honestly, that's not a bad deal at all. I'd probably take that $50 and see a different movie, get myself some popcorn, candy, some soda, whatever I could do instead of seeing this. Of course, they received backlash and they say that they are unable to move forward, but then they also say that this is sold out everywhere, that this has box office success like no one has ever seen, and again, that is just all complete BS. But I just found it funny that this movie is doing so bad that they had to resort to going on Craigslist and giving out free tickets. Apparently it's sold out everywhere, so you missed your chance if you were trying to see this, but you can still support Melania because she doesn't have enough money already by going to her website and buying crap off of there.
Y'all told me to watch the First Lady documentary today. So you know what I'm on. I love a good one band, one sound moment. Only First Lady we recognize right here, baby. The only First Lady we recognize.
Some longer experiences of it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What y'all want to do next? I'm with every movement we have, okay? So just if you haven't seen it, a random person on the internet said we're not going to the movies to watch the Trump First Lady documentary. We are going to Netflix, clicking on Becoming, and we're making Becoming the #1 in the movies today on Netflix. I'm here, honey. I'm here. Let me know if you're joining me in the comments, y'all. Turn on your Netflix, click on Becoming. Let's put it on the map this weekend. Trump ought to be sick of us. You're not sick of us yet.
Melania Trump documentary looks like it's on track to be a flop. No one's excited about it. I wish I can say the same, but before you go on, I'm not a Trump supporter, and F sulfide water, if you know what I mean. But I was so excited about the possible memes that's going to come out of this. I absolutely love the memes of Melania. She just gives us so much. I can't go maybe a day or a week without saying peace on the world nonstop, or when it comes to Christmas time, who gives a fuck about the Christmas stuff? Until it gets annoying. Literally was going to watch this movie with my notepad and come up with some meme ideas I can post on TikTok. But it looks like no one's going to watch it, and we might get cancelled if we watch it. But anyway, I do wonder sometimes if she just wanted to be a Palm Beach housewife and just host dinner parties and charity events and whatnot, and she's gotten roped into this. But yeah, don't want to have that discussion. I'm more for peace on the world. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully there is some memes that follow through so I can stop saying, who gives a fuck about the Christmas stuff? And I got a pimple, yes.
Hi, Melania. No, Melania, right? Hi, Melania. How is your movie going?
How many tickets have you sold by now? Because the report that I'm hearing is like theaters in Florida. Red states, no ticket.
One of them is 13 tickets.
Like next tomorrow, I got 13% of the available tickets.
I think is it London, I think?
London,
only sold one?
One ticket.
What is that?
Georgia, someplace, no ticket. What's up with the Melania movie?
Why are they treating her so badly?
She got no friends? I thought Donald Trump said America is back and big time and they can sell 10 tickets.
We have some news right now. The president isn't too happy because the first reviews of the Melania documentary are in. And while on Rotten Tomatoes, it's just at 6%. And the reviews themselves, well, they kind of trashed the movie. Some say they would rather watch January 6th over and over and over again rather than watch this documentary. In addition, ticket sales across the country and really across the world have lagged. Many theaters had completely open seats on premiere night, which was Thursday night and last night. And that doesn't include the fact that some theaters, like I reported earlier this week in South Africa, completely removed the movie from their playlist. Based on all the reviews, it appears as though the Melania movie that was hyped up by the White House, premiered at the Kennedy Center, well, in a lot of ways it has flopped in theaters. And while the White House, and especially the Trump family, probably isn't too happy about that, happy about reading the reviews right now. I'll continue to provide you updates as we get more information. Spread the word and follow along for more.
6% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let that sink in. 6%. That's not a rating, that's a temperature. That's a battery percentage when you're nowhere near a charger. And watch, MAGA is going to blame woke critics. They're going to say Rotten Tomatoes is compromised. They're going to claim the reviews were rigged, but at some point, when everything is rigged against you, maybe you're the common denominator. The theaters were rigged. The critics were rigged. The audience was rigged. South Africa was rigged. Or, hear me out, maybe they made a bad movie that nobody wanted to see about a woman nobody actually cares about, directed by a guy nobody should have hired. Occam's razor, baby. Sometimes the simplest explanation is just the truth.
Documentary is like reality TV except longer and on bigger screen. I love movie. I see Rush Hour and Rush Hour 2. Chris Rock is very good friend to Donald on the island. I don't go online, but Donald said everyone loved my movie and it made so much money. I really hope for Oscar and Grammy and Nobel Peace Prize and slime at Nickelodeon. In movie, I wear clothes and I also wear hat. I squint eyes so I don't have to see the ugly people around me. Donald love movie. He watch on his iPad. I am citizen of US for 20 years, but English not very good because my husband said I don't need to talk. If he want to talk, he just bomb country.
So, what did we learn today? That MAGA loyalty has a price limit, and apparently it's about $15. That America First doesn't include buying American movies. That you can spend $40 million on propaganda and still get outperformed by a Netflix documentary about Michelle Obama that dropped 5 years ago. And most importantly, that when it comes time to put up or shut up, the loudest people in the room get real quiet, real fast. This wasn't a movie premiere. It was a loyalty test. And MAGA failed it spectacularly. So the next time someone rolls up in a flag-covered truck talking about how they'd do anything for this family, ask them if they saw the documentary. I already know the answer. Drop a comment below. Are you surprised? Or did you see this coming from a mile away? And if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button, because trust me, there's going to be a lot more I told you so moments coming. See you in the next one.